give you that. I have that. I'll give that to you in 1 second. Let's begin by praying. I'm going to have Minister Benford lead us out in prayer.
Let us pray. Almighty God, we just ask you to come and consecrate for the service, Lord. We ask that you keep our minds clear, Lord. We ask that you stand up in our pastor, Lord. Allow him to go deep down in the well of wisdom, Lord. Let him speak boldly. Let him speak with power, Lord. Let Jesus get the glory. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Good deal. Good deal. Good deal. Use this as head. What's everybody feel? They good?
Yes.
Pretty good. They, for the most part, good. I didn't get a lot. I was not on that. Some people, maybe I was thinking you were thinking. Don't want to lie in the church, so. Not always feeling that part of it too. Okay, let me begin by passing these out so I do not forget. Who needs last week's?
Me.
Just about everybody. All right. Some of you will get one sheet on both sides, filled in. Don't let you get the 2 sheets. Don't let that throw. Good deal. You see Sister Kim over here, whole bunch in the statement. That's on me. It's not on her. I just got this. Doing these classes on Tuesdays and Saturdays. I was telling her today that the classes are new, so I got to prepare for those. And it's just been a bunch. And more than a notion. So what you should be getting for today, you have the outline, and you want a set of concentric circles behind it. Okay? And I'll show you what we're going to do with that here in a second. Okay? Right now, you have that for today. That little circle looking good. Good deal. All right. Anybody else comes in later, needs last week's, we'll get that then. Let's, well, let her get those back up.
What does the word motif mean again?
Motif is a theme. A theme. Kind of the motif of the sermon is the theme, or the main subject of it.
Okay.
There you go. Good deal. Good question. And you know what? I'm so pleased you asked me when I could answer.
I can't think of one after that.
It's a bunch you could ask me. I don't even know. And I'm afraid to say that. All right, here we go. Just want to make sure everybody has your hand out. Once again, what we're doing is kind of tracking our way through Jesus' model of making disciples, the way he did it. I erased it, couldn't left it up here. We use that same illustration every time. This is someone who's unsaved. They get saved somehow. That's the idea. We're hoping we can get them saved. And then from there on, once they are saved, we want to grow them so that they become more like Christ. They're conforming to the image of Christ. They're becoming more and more like Jesus. So what we're looking at is, what was the master's method of moving people down this line? In other words, we want to think strategically and deliberately about how that happens. In other words, we want to be intentional in the sense that if I kind of haphazardly kind of hope that this will happen, it's not going to happen. So if I have to think strategically or think in terms of a method, how can that best happen? Who better to look at than Jesus Christ, okay? So we've looked at that so far. What have we said so far? What's the first thing he did? Selection. He chose 12. Didn't go after the masses. He says, let me transform these 12, and then through the 12, once I change them, then they'll get the rest. They're going to get transform the world. What do you do next? Association. He said, now let me come close to him. And the third one was consecration. You need to obey. And for the last 3 times, this will be the third, we've been looking at, I believe she's pregnant, she's looking at impartation, how he's given himself away. This is the third part of that, okay? Let me see, what is this? That's what you need there. Shoot that back. From label page. Need something right there? You good? You good? Oh, okay. All right, good deal. So in terms of review, I don't want to take it all the way back through all the slides from last week. But anybody remember what we talked about in the general sense last week? The impartation, in other words, Jesus says to his disciples, I'm going to give you what the Father gave me. So we said it's one thing for us to say that we're going to disciple people and give away what God has given to us and Christ has given to us. But we said for that to happen, something has to be going on. What did we say that was? We talked about what? The Holy Spirit. We said absent of the Spirit, that's not going to happen. So just a quick review of that. We'll take it all the way back to that. And let's see what technology is going to do with that. The key to the victorious life. It was key for the disciples to wait until Jesus' promise became a reality to them. Let's look at those verses. Somebody get Luke 24:49, and then that Acts passage, we know what that is, but let's read it anyway. Okay? Get a couple people get those. And then we okay. Put that back up there. Know what you're thinking, hey, well, I couldn't write it all down. I didn't want you to. So I put, okay. Okay, give it to me again, Sister. Okay, I wasn't listening closely enough.
And behold, I send the promise of my Father upon you. But tarry in the city of Judah until you be endued power from on high.
Okay. Tarry means what? To kind of wait with this expectation. What are they waiting on? The Holy Spirit. And put that up here to connect the dots for you about what we talked about last week. Give me 1 second here. I don't know if I dare do this. Okay, what about the second passage, the Acts?
Acts 1:4 says, in one of these meetings, as he was eating a meal with them, he told them, do not leave Jerusalem until the Father sends you what he has promised. Remember, I have told you about this before. John baptized with water, but in just a few days you will be baptized by the Holy Spirit.
All right, good deal. Good deal.
Number 8 says,
Mm-hmm.
and but when the Holy Spirit had come upon you, you will receive your power, and you will tell the people about me everywhere, in Jerusalem, throughout Judea and Samaria, and to the end of the earth.
Okay, good deal. Good deal. I'm going to be able to do what I want to do and stop you from doing what you're doing because I made a mistake. Let's see if we can do this. See if this gets you. It may not do what we need to do. That's okay. Okay. So Jesus tells them what? To wait for the Holy Spirit. In other words, don't start your ministry. Don't get out there sharing your faith. Don't try to disciple the world. Wait until what? Until the Holy Spirit comes. Then you're going to start, okay? Why did he tell them that? Don't think too hard. That's really simple. There you go. To get done what he wanted them to do, it was going to take a power that they didn't have in their own flesh. Okay? That's what B and C say. Jesus knew that they needed an experience of him so real that their lives would be filled with his presence. In other words, kind of a shallow, superficial relationship wasn't going to cut the mustard. Not to do what I want you to do. Why? Because I'm asking 12 people to transform the world, to start this movement. If you're kind of just going through the motions in your own flesh, it's not going to be enough. So I need something superhuman. We kind of talked about that as we related it to the fruit of the Spirit in Galatians 5:22 and 23. Fruit of the Spirit, love, joy, peace, patience, etc. We say that that's superhuman ability. It's allowing the Holy Spirit to produce Christ's likeness in my life, but it's those 9 fruit, those clusters, those 9 go together. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. But I can do that in my flesh, but I can't do that in a supernatural way. To get godly results, it takes what? The Spirit. All right, you got it. Okay. So the superhuman work to which they were called demanded supernatural help. That's what we talked about last week. Just hot chips, all it did. That make sense? Okay. All right. So we're still talking about impartation, how, as it relates to me discipling someone, I give away what God has invested in me, and Christ kind of gives it to me. So then, therefore, what I've received, what Christ received from the Father, here it is, disciples. What I have has been poured into me through years of ministry, through sermons, through my prayer life, through growing in service, through my parents, whatever that is. Here it is, I give it away. Okay? Make sense? So far, so good? Okay, good deal. Good deal. And what I should have done, and didn't even think about it, is on your PowerPoint slide, it's called animation. Animation, it fades those in one at a time to keep you from running ahead of me. See, I know Sister Matt, as soon as I put them up here, that's okay, that's my mistake. Okay. So far, that's just a review, just to catch you up on kind of connect the dots. So now what we're going to see today is kind of the extent of this discipleship and who does what and who can do what and why that's the case. Okay? Let me give you this hidden truth. I'm going to give you more of what I want to give you. But Jesus purposely reserved for his few chosen disciples, and particularly the 12, his most revealing things. Just write that first one down. Let's look at these verses. Just write the first one down. I'm going to give you plenty of time to write the next 2 down. Let's write down A, and then let's read A. Okay? You've got to help me out today. Since I made a mistake. If I see people write down B and C, that's what I'm doing. Take that thing up and put it back up there. That's a natural tendency to do that. That's one reason I use fill in the blank. If you fill in the whole thing, folks are reading down, reading on the next page, it's natural to do that. Okay. Somebody, let's read those verses. What does that say? And what we're saying is, the point is, watch me now, kind of goes back, because I continually think of the question Brother Scott asked us, how come Jesus didn't kind of use Paul's method? Now, I had to define what is Paul's method, but I took that to mean kind of Paul, kind of this missionary who's planting churches and kind of speaking to the masses, if you will. Jesus said, I'm going to choose 12, and here's the point, to the 12, to those who are closest to me, they're going to receive some things that other people don't get. Okay? So that's where we're going today. He says, to these 12, I'm going to give them some things, but what I'm giving them, because remember, we're talking about imparting, he's giving himself away. What I'm giving away to them, to my disciples, everybody's not going to get it. What's that say? Luke 10 and 22. What does it say?
All things have been handed over to me Anyone to whom the Son wills to reveal him.
Okay. Okay. Mm-hmm. And anyone to whom the Son wants to reveal. Okay. What's that, Matthew? What's that? Oh, that was Matthew?
That was Luke 10:23.
Okay.
11:27.
What's that? Need some help trying to find that? Matthew. All right. All right. You've been in
No one knows the Son except the Father. No one knows the Father except the Son. Those whom the Son chooses to reveal him.
All right. Okay. And those the Son chooses. So in other words, Jesus is saying this. We're talking about impartation, kind of this giving away. If here Jesus is, and he says, I have to give myself away. There are some people out here, some folks out there, there's some folks on the hillside, there's some folks in Judea, there's some folks in Samaria, some folks in Galilee, etc. But primarily, I've got 12. That's how I'm giving it away. And we're going to see some others get it. But the point is, what he had to reveal, everybody didn't get it. Wasn't for everybody. I said, whoa. Because think about that. Here's a question ought to start turning in your head. Who's on your list? So does that mean impartation, as I give myself away, I don't give myself away to everybody? Or does that mean I exclude certain people from my list? Does that mean there's certain people I don't share my faith with? Whoa, what does that mean? Got Sister Brown thinking like, But that's a good question, huh? But then we're using his model. If he's the paradigm, he's the model we're going to follow. And if he gave himself away to some, then how do, if I pick and choose, how do I know who to give or not to give? Let's keep looking. Okay, so far so good. Let's look at B. The disciples were blessed because many others had desired to see and hear. That's your B, see and hear. And Sister Haynes is obedient. She's just filling in B right now. Okay? Anybody who's just kind of sitting there looking at me like, I've already filled out B and C. You weren't reading. Okay. Thank you, Sister Haynes. Mm-hmm. Hold that right there. Because watch this. I like that. Because let's say, this is where we're kind of going, Jesus is teaching on a mountaintop, which he was. And we're going to even look at that passage. There are certain people sitting on a mountaintop who are outside the 12. They heard it. Okay? So yeah, good point. Good point. All right. Okay. So the disciples are privy. They're in a position that affords them some things that other people don't get. Let's look at that. I believe those may be the same or similar. Let's look at, let's start with Matthew. Go to Matthew. So we're just kind of zipping through these. And what you have, let me give you a little context on this. Up until Matthew, coming through the first 12 chapters of Matthew, Jesus has been ministering to the masses. And you get to chapter 12, and Israel has not listened to his voice. So you get the rejection of Israel in the sense that, okay, I came for the sheep of Israel, the house of Israel. But since they won't listen, chapter 13, Matthew, now I'm going to open it up and start speaking in these parables that what I'm giving out is for some. But in the same breath, some are not going to get it. Okay, let's look at that. Matthew 13, what's 16 and 17 say?
Blessed are your eyes when they see, and your ears when they hear. Verily I say unto you, that many prophets and righteous men have desired to see the things which ye see, and have not seen them, and to hear those things which ye hear, and have not heard them.
Okay, could you imagine kind of coming up in Israel, and from the time you were a child, you've been hearing that this Messiah is coming. This Messiah, and what they kind of thought of in terms of the Messiah, it's a whole nother matter. I had a couple of my students doing a paper on that, and the paper kind of centers around, did the Old Testament Jews perceive that the Messiah was God, like we do? So we're kind of looking back on the situation. Oh yeah, we see that the Messiah is God, but this Messiah that they're looking for, did they perceive that? Okay, so anyway, but they're looking for this Messiah, and could you imagine that he finally comes? I happen to be one of the 12, or providentially, become one of the 12, and I get taught by him? Whoa! A lot of folks, kings and prophets and rulers and synagogue officials really would have loved that. But they get blessed to get what some others would have wished they got. Let's go back, same chapter, look at verses 10 and 11, and this kind of highlights what I said about these parables of the kingdom. The rejection of Israel. Now, I'm going to open up and begin to teach in these parables, but the difference is, since they wouldn't listen to my voice, it's for some, but others are going to miss what I'm saying. Okay? What's 10 and 11? What you have there? Matthew 13.
And the disciples came and said unto him, Why speakest thou unto them in parables? He answered and said unto them, Because it is given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it is not given. All right.
Are you kind of getting the theme for today? We've got a theme. We don't have about 50 things. We got about one theme. You know what the theme is? Is that imparting, giving away what God's given me, that some things God's giving away, everybody's not getting. Oh man, I can't wait till we get to our service. Ugh! He's giving some things away.
But how do they know what to give?
Now,
What part of them?
who? How do you say they? Who's that?
The other people, other than the 12.
Okay, now,
God.
how do they know? Give me the question again. I'm sorry. How do they know?
How do they know what they have received from Jesus? How do they know who to give it to?
You talking about these people?
Yeah, which one of those people to give it to?
Oh, how do the disciples know?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
We're kind of coming in.
Oh,
We're
okay.
kind of coming in. We're fine. Because you're kind of thinking in terms of my question, and if it's not for everybody, then yeah.
Yeah.
How do I know? Do I share the gospel with this person? And okay, we're coming right there.
Okay.
But that's a good question. If you think about it, even if he said it's not for everybody, then like how do I know? Is this? I see 100 people sitting on the hillside.
Yeah.
Do I pick, the religious leaders? They already have a theological background. Maybe they'll get it. Do I pick the children or? Oh.
I guess I'm thinking, as the disciples, their job is to just give.
Okay.
And then the Holy Spirit will do the rest.
Okay.
I guess, and not really knowing because only God knows the hearts of people. So I guess I'm just thinking just being obedient to the call that, they were given.
Okay.
To just do it.
Okay.
And then allow the Holy Spirit to massage the hearts of those who have a desire to receive.
Guys, like, I think what we're going to do is make a distinction And let me just say this, you may kind of pick up what I'm saying. If you think about it, watch this. We started with, when I started the sermon series coming out of 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 7 or 8 verses, Paul's talking about heaven and absent from the body, present with the Lord, etc. 5, 7, walk by faith, not by sight. And then I kind of did that sermon series. Primarily then, we were talking about evangelism. If you remember, who's on your list? Who are you sharing the word with? We've kind of shifted gears or expanded that in the sense that now we're talking about the evangelism slash discipleship. So we're going to come back to that. Hold that thought. Okay? All right. So Jesus was deliberately investing all in a few so that they could properly be prepared to do his work. Okay? So in other words, he was intentionally saying, what I'm giving away, I'm giving that to a few because everybody's not going to get it. So now you think about that. That's what he did. So the question still remains, to what degree do we do that? In other words, is everybody equally worthy of my investment of time? Is everybody equally worthy of my attention? Isn't that a good question?
Yes.
That's a good question. Sure it is. Sure it is. It's worth thinking through. Okay. Okay. Stay with me. Now, here's what we want to do. Let me see if I want to bring it to your circles yet. Let me get you to your circles. Go to your sheet. I don't even have one. Everybody have a handout? You missed anybody? Okay. Well, go to your circles. Okay. Those are your little concentric circles. Let me try my best. This is the way I kind of envisioned this. Didn't get this out of a book. This came out of my head probably about 45, 50 minutes ago. I'm for real. So then we're like, no. Yeah.
So wait,
For real.
I'm the type of person, Pastor, I need to know what words mean.
No, I got you.
So you're gonna tell us what concentric means?
Yes, it means that they all have the same center. Circles that have the same center.
Okay.
See, all those circles, boom, they have the same center. That's all.
Okay, exactly.
All right, good deal. So here's where I kind of look at that. Jesus imparts, he gives away, but doesn't give to everybody. It's for some, not for others. Here's what I did with that. In the center, we have the core. Maybe this goes on your lines. Everybody think you should have lines on your circle. Is that right? Okay. Your very center one, that's the core. Okay. Okay. And I'll define these here in a second. Okay, next circle out. I don't have lines, but next circle out. We've got the committed. M-M-I-T-T-E-D. Got committed. Okay? Yeah, give me a little slack in the way I did this, and I'll explain why I said it. Okay? So far, so good? Not going too fast? Okay. Next circle out. Let's put the church. And just have it in mind, always capitalize church. Okay? Next circle out, we got the crowd. The crowd. Crowd. The multitudes. Okay? Next circle out, we have the community. Probably not the first time I've used that, but didn't look at it in the Hope it makes a little sense. Okay, here's where I did that. Kind of relating that to this. Okay, Pastor, what's the circles have to do with that? Jesus gave himself away. Didn't give himself to everybody. Everybody equally didn't receive what he gave out. Does that make sense? Make sense? Okay. Make sense? Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay. This may answer. Let's look at then, kind of historically putting this in context, and let's look at now. If we had to say, kind of, hey, give me some context as to who might that be, who might be there, okay? Then, who you might think was in the core? Jesus said, I had Jesus and the apostles, okay? That's the core. Mm-hmm.
Matthew 17 seems like Jesus had two lists. He had the apostles, the 12 apostles. He also had the inner circle, Peter, Paul.
Gotcha.
He gave him something.
Right. I agree.
Okay, so I might have them as the core and they be that.
Mm-hmm.
I know they shared most things, but he did have a statement for his
Yeah.
inner circle.
Yeah. No doubt. No doubt. No doubt.
That's what I was looking for.
But as it relates to his discipleship program and kind of launching this for the masses, that's the core of the apostles. Okay? Let's put Jesus in the apostles. Let's do it like this. Man, however you want to do it, I just write it out here. I gotta have lines going out. Let's put Jesus in the apostles. Everybody kind of understand what Scotty was saying, how within the 12, Jesus had the inner circle, Peter, James, John, that they got some things that others didn't get. And I think that's kind of meaningful if you think about it. And that's, if you kind of think about it, that's where we're kind of going with this whole lesson, is that I can't equally, if I'm trying to disciple people, I can't equally give my time to everybody. As the pastor of this church, if I'm trying to disciple folk, I can't equally give everybody. Well, then you're playing favorites. Well, I don't know about that. But once again, if I'm trying to disciple 200 folks from the pulpit, well, that's another matter. But what we're saying is, that's not the way he did it. What did he do? Selection, association, let me come close. So that's part of the lesson, is that everybody doesn't get everything. But how come I've got to make some choices, and this is what we're saying. And give it up equally to everybody. Okay. Now and that doesn't mean that we treat people unfairly or I would say all of us are given a measure of faith. I don't know about equal. Where's that in Romans chapter? It's either 5 or 12. I'm thinking like it's 5, 1, and 3-ish in there, or it's either right there after the informed, not informed. Paul talks about that. We've all, and I think give it a measure of faith. I think it's in 12. But anyway, and plus it's one that gives of the Spirit. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, faithfulness, gentleness. Okay, so let me get this. Okay, so that's the core, the committed. Let's stay with then. We'll do the thens and we'll come back to now. I just said disciples. So in other words, that means disciples outside of the 12. You know what I'm saying? He's sending out 70, and so in other words, it's more disciples than just the 12. So that's why I use the word here, apostles, the 12. But then he had followers who are, hey, I'm with you, I'm committed to the call, Where you say go, I'm going. What you say I need to do, I'm going to do. Kind of with me? Then I said the church, and here's where you got to give me some slack. If we're talking about pre-Acts 2, before Pentecost, there is no church. So I'm saying, so to say then, church, and you have to be careful when I preach, teach, etc. Where in the Old Testament, David, and they say, well, David's talking about the church. Whoa, hold on now. Historically, there was no church, but I'm saying, whatever you want to call his group of followers, belief, I'm going to say, what I put there, I put, okay, I put either followers who would affiliate, kind of would identify, is the idea, probably even a better word, who would identify with Christ. In other words, these are people who would say, if you ask them, yeah, I'm a part of this band, but still, they're not as in or committed as these disciples were. Kind of see what I'm saying? But if you ask them, oh yeah, I'm a part. Okay? So affiliated with Christ. Or with the cause of Christ. You know what I'm saying? Not really the church, but okay. The crowd, these are those who are following at a distance, or the multitudes. When you see the word multitude, that's the crowd. Okay? In other words, I come around every once in a while, but I'm there for a lot of different reasons. I don't remember somebody in my class, one of my classes, if it was World Harvest or New Salem. One of those two churches, but large ministry, thousands of folks. And somebody's a member of one of those said, well, Pastor, you know all those folks that are there, they're not a part of the church. So in other words, some people in the crowd are there for all kind of reasons. I'm there to see what's going on here. I'm here to see some miracles. I'm here to see what all the commotion's about. I'm a part of the crowd. And then the community, like I said, this is what came out of my mind just an hour ago. Put Israel. Just Israel in general. That's who he's kind of ministering to. And okay, so what's the difference between the crowd and the community? At least the crowd comes around once in a while. Probably the multitude. At least I'm coming around where, just in general sense, he's ministering in our midst. I don't even know who the guy is. I've never been over there today. He's over Mount of Olives. That's not me. So far, so good. Making sense? Okay. So now, let's come back to now. And who do you think I put for the core? Now, we're thinking, when I say now, I'm thinking in terms of the church. And that's why I kind of went there. Who's the core? Okay, I have pastor, church leaders. Leadership of the church. You didn't think I was going to leave pastor off. See where I got to watch it. I'm put my name in there, they had this part of the crowd. Okay, we'll put leadership. And we'll just put it like that. We won't name leadership because depending on the church, that could be different. Some churches, elders, some churches, deacons, some churches, associates, some church, we'll just say leadership. Let's say the committed. What would you say there? Who's the committed? Okay, here's what I had. I had ministry leaders. Now watch this. I didn't put this on the paper, just thought of it now. Ministry leaders, not in terms simply of position, but those who lead by example. And I had ministry leaders all in members. In other words, I'm all in. I'm all in. I'm not holding anything back. You got my purse strings, you got my time, I'm all in. A committed member, you see what I'm saying? Makes sense? So I had ministry leaders, and then all in members. Not holding anything back. Okay, now let's go to the church. Okay, let me give it to you. For my church, I had members who attend, but aren't active, or they're not all in. In other words, you have partial commitment from these people. Now, I'm a member. If it happens to be this church we're talking about, I'm a member of Love Zion, but I'm not all in. See me, you don't see me. I may give, I may do this, I don't do that, etc.
That's the one we used to call a bench warmer.
Okay, could be.
I mean, the older days, that's what they call themselves. I'm not gonna work, I'm a bench warmer.
But I'll take it a step further than that, because when we think in terms of a bench warmer, we think of somebody who's a member but just sits. I'm even saying, differentiate, even going a step further than that, where these people are all in, these people may be partially in. In other words, see what I'm saying? In other words, I do this kind of well, but can't count on me in this area. So I'm partially in. Now, I may be anywhere from the bench warmer to, don't see me much. I'm a member, but, okay. So I had members. I had who attend. So you see them, they attend, but not all in. Well, but not all in. Not all in. All right. The crowd is kind of gave you who those were. I said those who may attend from time to time, but they're not saved. They may attend from time to time, so I'm not saved. So in other words, I'm not a part of the church. So if you're a part of the church, we're assuming that you're saved. You should be saved. If you're indeed a part of the church, you are saved. But somebody who's a part of the crowd, they may attend. So in other words, like the multitudes, they come around from time to time. But the question becomes, why do they come around? Come around to see, come around to go around and visit churches. I'm coming because somebody's making me come. Okay, so I said those who attend, and the key there is from time to time. Not going to be consistent. Maybe some big event that brings me out. Friend and family day, Christmas play, community day, okay? Easter Sunday, I like it. Gotcha. Okay, that says not saved. Okay, okay, could be a seeker. And then the community on this side, what do you think there? Unsaved, unchurched, the lost. Okay, and I kind of wrestle with the unchurched, because I guess they are technically a part of the church, somebody who's saved but it's not going. So we'll say the lost one, unchurched, whatever you say. Right? Okay. So let me ask you this: do you think that these people, and let's say here, contemporary sense, that these people equally receive what God wants them to get? No. Doesn't make half good sense, does it? Why is that? Why is that? Because we know, and you know what? I believe it's 1 Peter 3:9. It says, somebody look that up, make sure it's it, because I just started using this, I quoted it in the sermon. We know that God will have that none will perish. It's not that he doesn't want to give it. Is that it? Oh, give me the reason why. Is that it? Oh, you didn't find out?
I want to ask you a question.
Okay.
In that fifth category, when you said the lost, unsaved and lost.
Come here,
Yeah.
the community,
I understand that. I want to go back to one before then.
the crowd.
Okay. Do you include in there, like people who were part of the church, they were baptized, all of this, but they've fallen away, they don't really come now. They really believe.
Gotcha.
You would ask if they were
Gotcha.
telling they believe. Now,
Gotcha.
if they haven't, hold on.
Well, that's a good question. I kind of struggled with that because at first in here I had unchurched, unsaved. And unchurched could be somebody who is saved, if you think about it. So, if we're gonna put a technical thing on that, let's say anybody who's saved is really what? They're in the church. 1 Corinthians 12:13. For by one Spirit we've been baptized all in one body. Thought? Second Peter, okay, 2 Peter 3 down. Thank you. All right, good deal. So, kind of wrestle with that, but because I guess we could put them here. Well,